We begin tonight with a huge come-from-behind win that ends an unprecedented race for the Conservative Party of Canada. Erin O'Toole won the party's top job in convincing fashion early this morning after a major technical glitch delayed results for hours.
My fellow Canadians, my name is Erin O'Toole. I believe in this country, and I'm running to serve you as Prime Minister.
It was a crushing defeat for Conservative Party co-founder Peter MacKay, who was considered the front-runner. O'Toole defeated MacKay on the third ballot by a margin of 57% to 43%. O'Toole is promising to unite the party and vows the Conservatives will be ready to win the next federal election. But there's a lot of work to do. Our chief political correspondent David Akin has our top story tonight.
All right, next Prime Minister.
It was just after 1 a.m. Ottawa time when Ontario MP Erin O'Toole celebrated his moment of triumph.
To the millions of Canadians that are still up, that I'm meeting tonight for the first time, good morning. I'm Erin O'Toole.
The early morning finish was the result of some malfunctioning machines that helped process 175,000 ballots. That's an all-time record for any leadership race. Peter MacKay had been the presumptive favorite, but O'Toole ran an aggressive campaign from the right. That was an approach that won over social conservatives who helped power political newcomer Leslyn Lewis to a strong third-place finish. Lewis was just the second black woman to ever seek the leadership of a major Canadian federal party. And she's now seen as a rock star in the Conservative Party, who is being encouraged to run in the next general election. When she dropped off the ballot on Sunday, thousands of her supporters swung to O'Toole, and that put him over the top.
Today you have given me a clear mission to unite our party, to champion our conservative principles.
Now O'Toole must introduce himself to Canadian voters.
You're going to be seeing and hearing a lot from me in the coming weeks and months. But I want you to know from the start that I'm here to fight for you and your family.
O'Toole is 47. That's a year younger than Justin Trudeau. O'Toole spent 12 years in the Air Force as a navigator on Sea King helicopters. After the Air Force, O'Toole worked as a corporate lawyer before becoming an MP in 2012 for the riding of Durham, east of Toronto. He took his first run at the leadership in 2017, but lost to Andrew Scheer. Now, O'Toole believes he can do what Scheer could not, beat Trudeau.
The world still needs more Canada. It just needs less Justin Trudeau.
But O'Toole knows he must do more than just attack Trudeau, and he has promised to put forward a positive vision that he thinks is going to attract Liberal and NDP voters disillusioned with their own parties. Robin.
David Akin in Ottawa. Thanks, David. Reaction to O'Toole's win is pouring in, but not all of it is positive. The Liberals were quick to take aim at his list of priorities, including the environment.
I've also heard that the first thing that Erin O'Toole wants to do is eliminate the price on pollution. I don't think pollution should be free. I think that'd be a regressive move. I think Canadians recognize that paying for the pollution that comes out of our tailpipes and in other forms of pollution is just.
And the NDP raised concerns about potential cuts that could come with O'Toole at the helm.
This is someone who's been endorsed by Jason Kenney. And we've seen, certainly in Alberta, we've seen what that type of conservatism does. It's cuts to healthcare, it's cuts to childcare, cuts to education.
Let's bring in our Ottawa Bureau Chief Mercedes Stephenson, who spent hours watching this race last night. Mercedes, what is the first thing Erin O'Toole has to do now that he's the opposition leader?
Well, Robin, the first thing he has to do is get ready for an election, because one could happen as soon as this fall. On September 23rd, Justin Trudeau and his government will deliver the throne speech, and there could be a confidence vote that could bring down the government at any point after that. That means Erin O'Toole has to have his power players in position in his inner circle and an election platform ready to go. Even though we're not expecting the government to fall necessarily, he has to assume that it could and be prepared for that. He also needs to introduce himself to Canadians, because a lot of people don't know who Erin O'Toole is. And that was a big problem for Andrew Scheer, and a mistake the party can't afford to make again. He also has to work on getting party unity together. That should be fairly easy for him. He's pretty well liked, but he's got to get everybody under that big blue tent in his inner circle.
Okay, it's one thing to win the leadership, but now he has to win over Canadians. What kind of strategy will that involve?
So he has to move away from the right side of the spectrum that he's been on. He played himself as a true blue conservative in the leadership race to try to get lots of votes. But when he runs in the general election, he's got to be more centrist. He has to tell Canadians what he stands for, not what he doesn't stand for. And they have to have a solid pandemic response that will tell Canadians what they'll offer them, and especially has to be able to appeal to suburban women voters in the 905 in Quebec who could determine the next election.
The Liberals are obviously taking note of this. What will Justin Trudeau and his team do with the latest development in the Conservative leadership?
Well, they will exploit that hard right angle of the campaign that Erin O'Toole ran on. They'll try to characterize him as a social conservative, and they will try to say he's basically Andrew Scheer or Stephen Harper light and define him. So for the O'Toole people, the issue here is to make sure he's not defined by Justin Trudeau, but by Erin O'Toole.
Mercedes Stephenson in Ottawa, thanks for your insight.